I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain Interviews, we have back with us Burnt Banksy from XION. Pleasure to have you back on the show. It's been about 8 months since we last spoke, and XION is continuing to explode. And I know there's institutional partnerships. You guys were just at Korea Blockchain Week. The crypto market, Bitcoin itself, also just about back at all-time highs. And it's an exciting time. Thank you so much for taking the time to come back.
Yeah, Ashton, thanks for having me. It's always good being on here.
Definitely. I would love to start off with, an update, but also just a high level on what you and the team have built over the years at XION, what makes it different, the walletless blockchain technology, and some of the adoption metrics so far, and then we can dive into all the latest details.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that you say latest details. I mean, we've spent the last 4 years trying to make crypto disappear, and then ultimately like answered the question, or like got hit with the question of like, well, for what? And we're
Mm-hmm.
like, shit. Like, outside of DEXs, outside of NFT marketplaces, what is the use cases of crypto? And we kind of fell into the answer there, and the answer is proofs in the age of proofs, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the idea of verification and verifying everything on the
Mm-hmm.
internet,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what we figured out. So, in that time, we worked with, Uber, Nike, Amazon, about 130 Web2 brands, and hitting about a million monthly active users and continuing to grow there. So things are getting really exciting, and we're just in the beginning of that.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting, and it's great to see uh, continued interest, and growth from the traditional brands that already have hundreds of millions of customers. And I think that's, to get back to your point on like, what's the point? It's this proofs, but also onboarding the benefits and the advantages of blockchain technology, instant settlement, cheap, fast transactions without having to understand what is a wallet and private keys, all this stuff. Just throw it in the background. Let's just get the advantages and put it into the current system that we have that's outdated and slow.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I think that the more you kind of look at what an L1 becomes, it's very similar to like just kind of putting all these pieces together, right? It's stable coins mixed with payments and remittance, mixed with verification, mixed with, peer-to-peer. And it's you look at one thing individually, it's kind of not much, but you get a 1 + 1 = 10 very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And, we're also in the age of not just the Web2 brands and looking at integrating blockchain, but artificial intelligence and now robotics and the machine economy and like even humanoid robots, driverless cars. They're all going to have wallets or walletless technology that interacts with blockchain as well. I know Korea Blockchain Week, XION was just there. There was a big focus on that blockchain, but also robotics and AI as well. Can you talk about XION at the Korea Blockchain Week that just happened, and what was that all about?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of understood pretty early on that some of our biggest users, and I think the most users in kind of all of crypto in general, exist in
Mm-hmm.
Korea.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to someone in kind of foreign policy there, and very good discussion actually. But effectively, the consensus is like he asked me what the perspective of Korea was from an outside, from an American. And it's like, hey, everyone wants to be on that bit, right? Everyone wants to be on bit.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have the highest trading volumes, but you also have some of the highest regulation, and so it kind of acts as a stamp of approval. And I think that you look at it's interesting stats because you have like probably the highest penetration of users, and most of
Mm-hmm.
the crypto users are like age 30 plus. They're not
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
18 to 25 like you kind of see in America. And what's interesting, it's mostly trading, right? Like it is mostly
Mm-hmm.
speculative. And when we were talking to this policymaker, the future of crypto really kind of comes in the software of things. It comes in the verification. It comes in, being able to standardize everything and kind of come onto that next level of the playing field.
Yeah, it was so interesting. I saw one of the videos from the Korea Blockchain Week, and it's funny you mentioned that with the age groups being a little different and how the adoption rate is just so high there. I saw like it was what you would see in like Vegas, like a casino, where young men were watching. They were just watching trading, leverage trading instead of
Yeah.
sports. It's like competitive. They really are into it, and crypto and blockchain just making it so much easier.
Yeah, it's fun to watch too. I mean, I was part of a trading competition like a couple weeks back. Not to flex, came in fifth, but
Yeah, well, that's great that yeah, Southeast Asia is just pushing us the industry
Yeah.
forward, and I think that when it comes to AI and robotics as well. Asia, I feel like they're ahead of America, although America now in the last year, and I'm curious if that's influenced Zion as well. Being in America, we're pushing to be the crypto capital of the world and the AI capital of the world, but I feel like they've been ahead for a while, even though they
Yeah.
don't really talk about it in the news. But it's like robotics, AI, drones, automation, surveillance
Hmm.
is like further ahead on the other side of the
Definitely.
world.
Definitely, definitely. It definitely is, and I think that like where Zion kind of fits in there is this. I think there's a proliferation of AI is only going to continue. It's going to continue fast, and
Hmm.
I actually just downloaded the Sora app. I don't know if you've played with it yet. It's a lot of fun. And it's kind of nice that you have this whole segment of an industry that's, hey, this is just AI videos.
Hmm.
Because I think it's like that first time where you've ever really seen that. But I think that there's going to be a problem, which is determining what is real and what is not on the internet. And I think that like with AI comes the investment of blockchain to kind of solve that
Hmm.
and make sure that it's not monopolized by just a few players in the industry.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I feel like there's going to be, a lot of people are using AI for, text-based communication, getting answers, or, writing a tweet or a blog for you quick. But we're soon going to be into all kinds of image creation and video. You can just make a single sentence prompt, and that'll turn into a full feature film. And it'll be hard to know, what's real or what's not, and who you put in the film. Did they have permission for that?
Yeah,
And I feel like
exactly. Are they making
block
money off of it?
yeah, exactly. And blockchain is going to come into play there. Maybe you can talk about the age of proofs. Maybe we can just talk about the ages and how
Hmm.
that is like the segments of Zion, and then the age of proofs.
Yeah, I think that is interesting. Like we kind of describe a lot of this as, and I think like we put it out as a roadmap, but realistically it's self-cannibalization, which for innovation you effectively need, right? So you had like the age of burning, my name Burnt Banksy right there. I lit a
Mm-hmm.
Banksy on fire, sold it as an NFT, and it was one of the highest grossing guerrilla marketing campaigns in all of crypto. We broke the NFT record, and a lot of that was just kind of generating noise and generating like a North Star of like this is what we want, right? We want
Mm-hmm.
the digital and the physical to be one and the same. Then you kind of came the age of abstraction, which was this kind of roadblock, effectively, if you would, right? Of saying, well, there's this gap now. We need to cross this gap of, usability and make sure that people can actually use this stuff. And we need to abstract it away in order to actually have products that people want to use. And now we're at that junction, changing all the brand messaging effectively, self-cannibalizing ourselves, which is very, very good and healthy for a tech brand, of
Mm-hmm.
course. But,
Mm-hmm.
now of saying, well, what do we want people to do? Like, and the answer to that is we want people to build products that verify anything, right? Whether that
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm.
how many miles you've ridden on Lyft, whether that be how much money you have in your bank account, or whether that be, tickets to a concert that you're going to. The
Mm-hmm.
physical and the digital world are two separate places right now. And in my mind, they will combine to one. And I think that AI proliferates this and blockchain makes it real.
It's really cool. And, there's slight differences, but you could say there's pivoting and then there's adapting and self-cannibalizing. And sometimes the industry isn't ready for certain technologies yet. Before Bitcoin was institutionalized, they weren't really ready for the underlying technology to come in. But now with the kinds of partnerships we're seeing, people saying, okay, there's Bitcoin, but there's also all of the blockchain technology that's underlying it and the other chains, and it's so much more than just a currency. Um, then there's the physical proofs, but there's also digital, like the AI as well. Where is that at with actually, those partnerships that you're talking about, and then proving things using the blockchain technology? Is that in play like right now? Like I could go onto
Yeah.
my app and prove and see like a blockchain timestamp of like this. I can prove to people zero knowledge proofs that this information is correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be easier than that, right? Like I was talking to one of the teammates today because I was making a pretty much we were making an article of what jargon effectively needs to be removed from crypto,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what you got to do? Just Google one of those how to get started in Web3 things, and then take all of that because it's completely unnecessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like I'm not gonna tell people to zero knowledge proof at this timestamp, but it's like we're working with Uber. We have signed contracts with Uber effectively to prove out who are Lyft riders, right? And then prove that, hey, they've moved over to Uber riders. And I'm not going to say, prove it through zero knowledge proof, but it's like, if you want to make a leaderboard of the Taylor Swift's top fans, like that's something that you can prove. And it's like, these people don't know what, most of these people don't know what zero knowledge proofs are. And they
Yeah.
shouldn't, right? Like they just want to show that they're the biggest Taylor Swift fan in the world.
It's a great it's a great point because yeah, I think zero knowledge proof is a big buzzword that we need to break down, and that was the point of Zion earlier on. Is like
Still
we don't
is.
need a wallet, we don't need a wallet, we don't need all this stuff. Just like get it done, like get the advantages in
Just
there
get it
without
done.
yeah, just get
Yeah.
it done. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are doing that with these kind of Web2 companies, and I feel like it in some ways it's exciting to be able to prove things and like you can gamify it.
Hmm.
You can say like, here's my, I can actually prove that I did 1,000 rides on Lyft, and like
Yeah.
there's a leaderboard, and like it's because a lot of that information it's just scattered everywhere, out of everywhere, and you don't even have access to your own information.
Yeah, and you look at this from like two perspectives. Like you also can like look at this of like luxury versus discount, right? Like I've done X amount of things, so I get a 5% discount. Versus like we were talking to like a luxury ski brand, and we were like, well, what if, we had the people who, Icon and Epic passes for skiing. It's like these are like $1,000 one pieces. And I was like, what if like we just said, hey, you could only buy this stuff if you are, you've been to 5 different epic mountains in the last year.
Yeah,
And it's like
yeah,
even then, like you're finding your real target customer, or looking at airlines and saying, airlines, casinos, hotels, anything with a loyalty program. And like, I don't really think we're at the point of being like, this should be on chain because they work. Like, unless you give people a very valid reason as to why loyalty programs should be on chain, like you're gonna spend $4 million like Starbucks and Polygon did, and
yeah.
it's not gonna work. But you can provide a matching option and say, hey, we know who your customers are.
Yeah. No, I feel like the loyalty program integration of blockchain or even adding in tokens and coins and stuff, that's been like a fantasy that is easier fantasized about than actually done properly in a way that makes a better ROI for the company and for the people because we want to make it easier and cheaper, not spend a bunch of money to make it more complex.
Yeah, exactly. And you just get more and more users that way, right? It's people don't VCs like complexity. I've noticed this quite a bit. VCs like feeling like they're much smarter, and so you got a lot of people who invest in projects that they don't actually really know a lot about
Mm.
because they want to seem like they know a lot about it, and you kind of
Uh-huh.
boil it down to the fundamentals, and it's dog shit, for lack of better words. But you look at like kind of the retail mind, and the retail mind doesn't have that. They don't want to be confused. They don't
Hmm.
want to read through all this stuff. They want the benefit. They want it right then and there, and that's it. And so it's like ends up being a better litmus test for actually launching products.
Definitely. So with the people like you guys have crazy like active users using the walletless technology and through the Web2 partnerships, how do people like get started and maybe they even know that they're using Zion, but do they usually are using some of the Web2 partners and then all of a sudden, hey, you have the verification through Zion, or are they actually going to Zion and trying out different partners and things like that?
I would say near token launch it was like that, right? It was like, oh, let's go and let's explore Zion. But that was like it was like token launch. The main audience was crypto people. And it's still there. Like there is an ecosystem exploration, and like we do still want an ecosystem exploration. But what one person's ecosystem exploration is another person's app store. And I think that there's going to be so the answer right now is we kind of still have both. A lot of people, and like we notice this, have been, I would say within the last 2 months, mostly have been going externally through projects because more high quality projects are actually launching. And but I think what that will turn into is an app store. It's just there's not enough apps that are genuinely quality. But I would say that for the entire industry, like my biggest pet peeve is going to like an app store and it like bringing you to a validator's website in this industry.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
Definitely. I feel like there's always been uh, a hope for a DApp store of like, where's all the blockchain apps so we
But
can
there's no
make it.
dApps.
No, I
Like,
know. Yeah, even apps that have some remote connection of verification or proofs through Zion or through blockchain. And yeah, it's like, what can we do to get more Web2 companies? You guys are partnering with a lot of them, but how can we get that onboarding exponentially growing so there's more companies and everyone makes it, you're trying to make it as easy as possible to eliminate the crypto part. How can we accelerate that so that more companies are using proofs and blockchain on the back end?
yeah, I think like there's two different routes to that, right? Like there's, and this is kind of how the team is, I'm noticing breaking out now. It's like there's this enterprise side of the business, which is this like prepackaged, like here's the I almost just said the name of it. We haven't launched the name of the product yet. But here's this thing, that you can use, and we can effectively verify everything. And you bring that into like a B2B sales role, and that's like we're talking to airlines, we're talking to casinos, we're talking to hotels, and we have a product to sell. It's not a crypto product, it's a product to sell. And then we still have this kind of ecosystem for startups, right? Which is build new products with this new technology. Because we understand the disruptive nature of this. Some of it is like a cost saving mechanism where it's like, big companies should be using this stuff because it either saves them money or it reduces fraud. But also you can build new industries on it. So it's, we've grown the team probably like 10 people in the last 2 months, just under this recognition of like, wow, this actually needs to scale a lot more if we want to do the things that we want to do.
Yeah, wow, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Does I feel like there's still there's a lot of institutions and enterprises that are getting interested in Bitcoin, maybe for the financial aspect of it, but the actual introduction of the blockchain technology, it's not always black and white on like, okay, this has a clear ROI because it costs some money up front, maybe a little bit to integrate it.
Hmm.
Is there still that? How has that changed over since we last spoke and since the new administration in the U.S. is being more pro crypto and hopefully more pro blockchain of the technology? Are you seeing an acceleration of these Web2 companies since the beginning of this year of interest in the technology side of it?
Yeah, but not in a good way, hilariously. Like, yes and no, I will say. Like, I think that in the same way that people were like really interested in NFTs, I think it's very similar to that, which makes it feel like a fad. And I think instead of NFTs, it's stablecoins. And I think everyone's gonna have their own stablecoin, right? Because of the Genius Act, everyone's gonna have their own stablecoin. And then, you're probably gonna have whitelisted or it's gonna consolidate down to a few. And it's like, well, why did we have this stablecoin? And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I'm seeing. And it's like it's good. I'm pretty happy that it's being accepted. But on that like counterpoint, it's like, great, what happens in 4 years? Because I've seen this story before.
Definitely, yeah. With I know the launch of the USA Tether, now trying. I think that's in leading up to the Genius Act here. And Circle, we have two sort of leading competitors, but I don't
Yep.
want to see more stablecoins because it's
No,
like it's just more. There already is a lot of
fragmentation.
fragmentation, like low liquidity, many chains. We just need to unify everybody on the financial side to be like, okay, let's all agree to use some things that work well with each other. Otherwise, we're going to be cannibalizing each other in a bad way.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, sorry, go on.
No, I'm curious on the Zion side. There's these proofs, and we're talking about stablecoins. I feel like eventually these companies are going to want to, if it saves them money, which it definitely can with stablecoins, if the ramps are done right. Is that something that Zion has a play in as well with these Web2 companies?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it depends, right? Like it depends geographically, right? Like if you want to do US, the rails are pretty much there. You
Uh,
just, people don't really want a KYC. Like it's just it's a friction point, right? So it's like it's up to the extent of like imagine going to, like the thing is like I can go to I don't know I can go to Google and I can get the new Google phone, but you know how annoying it would be to have to buy like Google Bucks and then buy the Google
uh-huh.
phone with Google Bucks.
Yeah.
Um, it's this friction that like I don't think that they want because why would they? But it's like realistically what I think is that it's what's gonna happen is you're gonna have like cash on hand, right? So it's like cash on hand, stable coins, yield bearing, right? So it's like let's have people give us money in the form of minting stable coins, and then let's use that capital, buy treasuries, and then get some rate off of that. And I think that's fine, but it kind of, and yeah, it exists so long as rates are pretty high right now. But at a certain point, like that, I feel like what's going to happen is you're going to get people racing for high stablecoin yield, and like that's going to be how you're going to get a lot of money, and then you're going to have another Terra situation, and then
Yeah.
it's going to be the same shit over again. Like I've been in this industry for long enough to see more stablecoins die than like I've seen more. I don't know. For some reason, I feel I've seen more stablecoins die than being born, which doesn't feel correct.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's don't create more stable coins. And there's also the nature of buoyancy coins or finding other ways to sort of fight the inflation, which just make it complex and
Yeah,
algorithms that probably aren't going to work in the long
that
run.
aren't gonna work. Like we've tried, we've done the kickflips of arithmetic here. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, with Bitcoin getting a lot of institutional adoption in the last couple of years here, and now they're starting to move into Ethereum and Solana, those return hungry institutions. But with Bitcoin, they're also looking at yield as well. But there is institutional interest in blockchain from some. I know that XION just partnered with Fireblocks, which is one of the major players in institutional coordination, and there is a merging of TradFi with crypto, and it's slowly happening now that Bitcoin is sort of becoming hopefully sort of a household name, as you know, the most successful ETF of all time so far. People are like, hey, maybe we should start integrating the technology into institutions and stock markets. With that integration with Fireblocks, that opens the door for so many more institutions. How are you guys going to be working with more institutions to hopefully get this, from a B2B level, and then that can help spread the blockchain into millions of people?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always a part of like working with institutions. We want to be as secure as possible, right? And like,
Yeah.
I think that we're very, very far from having everything on a ledger anymore. It is very, very, I think we have Hex Trust, now Fireblocks, and then Anchorage as well. And it's like, it's kind of like this, Thanos glove of getting everyone. But, Anchorage is trusted by some of the highest, most trusted institutions, and really just acts as a signal, which is what we're extremely excited about. Now we can just welcome more institutions, welcome more, kind of big name clients in, which, for us, it's awesome. Like that's no longer a roadblock.
Yeah, definitely bring them in.
Bring them in.
Yeah, we're still early, especially since the tokenization of financial instruments in the stock market really hasn't even started yet, but it's coming. So it's exciting. And I was looking at we dove into the age of proofs. I know that there's a bunch of quarters on the roadmap, and there's other ages, and part of that is the age of unicorns, which sounds exciting. I'm always looking at investing in the next unicorn. Can you talk about sort of the roadmap and looking ahead and beyond age of proofs as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's right now a lot of this is we're doing this ourselves, right? Like we're having the sales conversations, but I think a lot of it was like what I was talking about with the ecosystem. Like we have EarnOS being probably the main use case of this new product that we're launching. And they are revolutionizing marketing. The next is, we're focused on marketing, we're focused on social media, we're focused on dating, and I think these are the next three huge things to be really revolutionized. But in order to really kind of build this new version of the internet up, we need to be every industry. And so being this kind of unicorn of unicorns and making sure that like the people who want to disrupt the next Steve Jobs, the next Bill Gates can exist, that's what we're looking for. And just finding more and hyper scaling that out is what that next era looks like. But you got to start once, replicate that, and then double it every time.
Definitely. Can you talk more about that EarnOS? Is that a way that people can get involved and earn?
Yeah, I mean that's EarnOS is a very interesting. That's kind of like how we were talking about Uber and Amazon. It's the most efficient marketing platform that exists. I think they have an 80% deduction in customer acquisition cost. It's super 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 exciting.
That's awesome. And you
Yeah.
mentioned dating there. That's something that the financial industry is not talking about as much,
Yeah.
but it's a huge industry. And I know like the dating app CEOs have made billions, and it's every TV show for your common people. That's what it's all about. How can we integrate blockchain into that to, really bring more people in?
It is, I mean, it's verification, right? Like
Mm,
there's such an issue on there's such an
yeah,
issue on like you don't know who you're meeting up with and like an element of safety there. And you
yeah.
can have as much fun as you want with it. Like, there's one project building on us called Sugar Daddy, which you could only be on if you have over $1 million in your bank account. That's
Mm,
awesome.
uh-huh.
But also it's like and it kind of like it kind of lends itself to like recruitment, etc. But it's like prove that you went to this university, prove that you went to,
Hmm.
worked at this job. Hell, you could even prove how much money you make if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
And it's up to pretty much everything.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And yeah, it can not just yeah, the proving your profile. Hopefully, it doesn't get too nerdy on the app, but for safety and like catfishing and guys pretending to be women that end up scamming
I
people
know.
with crypto and things like that. I know
No more
I know
Tinder
it's a common
swindler.
problem.
We should get that guy, actually. We should get the Tinder swindler. It's actually a really good idea. We should absolutely get this guy to promote it.
Definitely, yeah, no, it's a huge thing. I'm glad blockchain can help in these industries where you wouldn't think of it at first, but then you realize that it makes perfect sense.
Nice. Cool. Hell
Awesome,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Well, what's the best way for people to, that are interested in like checking out the ecosystem more, getting involved, and also following along with these updates as more institutions come in, as more apps, where the blockchain fanatics at least, how can I
Yeah.
start proofing things and putting it on the blockchain?
We are, yeah, I mean, definitely, I would say stay tuned for we've been doing everything on EarnOS testnet. I think they've had like 2 million users, or mainnet
Mm,
beta, I should say. And, real money, of course. But now I think later this month, I think we should say that. Maybe. Whatever. I'll get yelled at. It's fine. Definitely check it out. There's going to be a lot of projects launching, but a lot of this will be the base of, it's Burnt Zion. So check out Burnt Zion. Follow us on Twitter. And everything will kind of stem from there.
awesome. Burnt Banksy, thank you so much, man. All the best in proofing everything in the world and putting it on the blockchain and
Thank you.
leading us into the age of unicorns. I'm ready. Yeah, getting all these Web2 companies and institutions involved with the greatest technology that we have right now. All the best with everything moving forward. And thanks for coming on again. And would love to have you back in the near future.
Thanks for having me.